is an assault on America. Nothing like this has ever happened before. There's never been anything like it. Every legal scholar said this case is nonsense. It should never have been brought. It doesn't deserve anything like this. There is no case, and they've said it. People that don't necessarily follow or like Donald Trump said this is an outrage that this case was brought. This is political persecution. This is a persecution like never before. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And again, it's a case that should have never been brought. It's an assault on America. And that's why I'm very proud to be here. This is an assault on our country. And it's a country that's failing. It's a country that's run by an incompetent man who's very much involved in this case. This is really an attack on a political opponent. That's all it is. So I'm very honored to be here. Thank you very much.
This is an extremely sad day for America, something I don't think a lot of us ever saw coming. This is the first time in the history of our nation, the history of our great republic, that a former president of the United States of America is brought inside a courthouse and charged with criminal charges. Instead of Alvin, the DA, Alvin Do Nothing Bragg, instead of Letitia Big Shame James, and the entire crew, Governor I Just Want My Photo Op Hochul, instead of them actually tackling the rising crime rates, the rising unsafety, the rising inflation, the migrants that are just rampantly running around the entire city of New York, state of New York, causing mayhem and bedlam, they're going after a political opponent, preventing you and I from focusing on what we need to focus on, preventing you and I from perhaps voting for somebody that we want to vote for. I'm going to share with you some incredible insight from legal expert and scholar Jonathan Turley on why I said this is the most sad day in our country for a very, very long time. This is something that nobody should be happy about, nobody should be proud of, and yet you see all of these leftist woke mob incendiary troglodytes posting all over X, posting all over online. Hakeem Jeffries, AOC, Schumer, Pelosi, Biden, and all these leftist influencers gloating. They are celebrating the demise of democracy. They keep saying democracy is on the ballot. They're celebrating. They're spiking the football that a former president, an elected president of our republic, somebody the people chose in 2016 and perhaps in 2020. Let's not go there for now. They're celebrating his demise. They're celebrating. They're humiliating him with this travesty clown court, this justice system that is really on trial, because the president is not on trial. The justice system is on trial. But what's even worse, all of the stuff that's happening all over the world, all the chaos, the bedlam, the fact that we're literally inches away from World War III because of this myopic, incompetent administration and what they've done, they're focusing on going after a political opponent. If that doesn't screech of Banana Republic, I don't know what does. The people want to vote for this man. Half the country, at least, if not more, want to vote for this man. Why are you doing everything in your power to prevent this from happening? I am deeply saddened, not only by this, but I'm so deeply embarrassed because our global, you know what the globe is doing right now? You know what Putin's doing right now? You know what Xi Jinping is doing right now? You know what Kim Jong-un is doing right now? You know what the entire world, and don't get it twisted, Macron and all these other pseudo allies, Netanyahu, they're laughing at us too. This is a travesty. Look at what they're thinking. They're thinking, my God, the border is a travesty. Inflation, their economy sucks. They've got all sorts of, they're focusing on all sorts of issues, like they're giving their kids puberty blockers and gender affirming care without any idea of what the long-term ramifications are. They're literally on the brink of chaos in every single city. Homelessness has run amok. I mean, people can't afford groceries. People can't afford to take their kids on vacation. And they're going after political opponents like this is Venezuela, some kind of banana republic. You think the world, what do you think the world, global perception is so important here, Nez Nation. If we don't have a strong standing in the world, we got nothing. What's to prevent countries from going, okay, you know what? Because the truth of the matter is, everybody's looking for an opportunity to get to that number one spot. Everybody is. And you don't think there's any dealings or any chess going on behind closed doors? You better think again. They're looking at our country and they're thinking, man, if this weakness gets augmented, if they just get weaker and weaker, this could be our chance to pounce. And yes, I'm not just talking about our enemies. I'm talking about our invisible enemies, our quote unquote allies. They're going to come after us too. This is dangerous. This is scary. Let's look at this article from Jonathan Turley right now. I apologize. I know a lot of you guys are thinking, Nez, just get to the point. But you know what? I'm so upset. This is a sad day for America because this is a travesty. What should be nothing more than a simple misdemeanor is now turned into this clown show that is being broadcast all over the world. It's unnecessary. It's taxpayer funds completely misused and miscarriage of tax funding. Watch this. Listen to this. Let's look at this together. I'll leave a link to the entire article, but I'm not going to go over the entire article. I just want to go over some of the most pertinent issue regarding the hush money case. Bragg is bringing a case that has taken years to develop and millions of dollars in litigation costs for all parties. That is all over a crime that has already expired under the statute of limitations. Before the 2016 election, this is a misdemeanor under state law. Like his predecessor, Bragg previously scoffed at the case. However, by the way, this is Jonathan Turley, who is a 30-plus year attorney, legal scholar. He is an expert in everything legalese. Check this out. Like his predecessor, Bragg previously scoffed at the case. However, two prosecutors, Dunn and Pomerantz, then resigned and started a public pressure campaign to get New Yorkers to demand prosecution. Pomerantz shocked many of us by publishing a book on the case against Trump, who was still under investigation and not charged, let alone convicted of any crime. He did so despite objections from his former colleague that such a book was grossly improper. Nevertheless, it worked. Bragg bought about a Rube Goldberg case that is so convoluted and counterintuitive that even liberal legal analysts criticized it. This guy actually, they're so desperate. They're clawing. You can't even say they're clutching and grasping for straws. They're clawing and scratching for any straw imaginable. Letitia Big Shame James has been documented on video as literally her sole focus over the last 4 to 8 years has been to go after Trump. They're doing everything in their power. This is all, by the way, this is all not done independently. These are not isolated persecutions. This is all done by committee, and that committee is headed by the Obama-Clinton consortium. You better believe it. This goes all the way up to the highest chain in command. And you guys both and I know that Tombstone Biden is not running the show. Trump paid Daniels to avoid any publicity over their brief. As a celebrity, there was ample reason to want to keep the affair quiet, of course. It also occurred before the 2016 election. And there was clearly a benefit to quash the scandal as it can. That political motivation is at the heart of this long-delayed case. It is a repeat of the case involving former Democratic candidate John Edwards. In 2012, here's the double standard. In 2012, the Justice Department used the same theory to charge the former Democratic presidential candidate after disclosure that he not only had an affair with filmmaker Riel Hunter, but also hid the fact that he had a child by her. Edwards denied the affair, and money from donors was passed to Hunter to keep the matter quiet. Well, of course it was. The Justice Department spent a huge amount of money on the case to show that the third-party payments were a circumvention of campaign finance laws. However, Edwards was ultimately found not guilty. Of course he was. With Trump, though, the Justice Department declined a repeat of the Edwards debacle and did not bring any federal charge. I mean, this is insanity. But Bragg then used an alleged federal crime to bootstrap a defunct misdemeanor charge into a felony in the current case. He is arguing that Trump intentionally lied when his former lawyer, Michael Cohen, listed the payments as retainer costs. So you're relying on a known admitted liar. That's what you're relying on right here. This guy is a known and admitted liar, the key witness for the people, for Alvin Do Nothing Bragg, Michael Cohen. As Turley states here, Cohen has a long record as a legal thug who has repeatedly lied when it served his interests. He has a knack for selling his curious skill set to powerful figures like Trump and now Bragg. And then Jonathan Turley, again, I'm not gonna go through the whole thing, but I love how he says, so this is the case. This is really important. A serial perjurer, which is Michael Cohen, used to convert a dead state misdemeanor, which is what this should be, a dead state misdemeanor, into a felony based on an alleged federal election crime that was rejected by the Justice Department. Turley goes on to say they could well succeed in a city where 9 out of the 10 potential jurors despise Trump. Trying Trump in Manhattan is about as difficult as the New York Yankees going to bat using beach balls rather than baseballs. It is hard to miss. My favorite line out of this whole thing is the last line. Whatever the outcome, it may prove a greater indictment of the New York court system than the defendant. I also want to play you this video from legal expert Phil Holloway as he talks on Fox News about the kind of strategy Trump could use to win this Manhattan trial and why this should be just a minor misdemeanor rather than this big felony charge. Check this out from Phil Holloway. Right.
But Harris, speaking of misdemeanors, this case really started out as a minor bookkeeping misdemeanor that the statute of limitations should have run on years ago. But it's Alvin Bragg who is the one that, in my opinion, is being dishonest because he's taking this misdemeanor and he's bootstrapping, federal election law and trying to call this some type of serious felony fraud, which really is just a bookkeeping issue. And by the way, speaking of fraud, it's another example of a New York prosecution going after Trump where there's no victims. Nobody was harmed by any of this. And by the way, can we stop referring to it as a hush money trial? That implies that there's something sinister, there's something illegal about non-disclosure agreements. They are standard. Wealthy people, prominent people use them all the time. Even Fonnie Willis here in the Fulton DA's office has non-disclosure agreements with people in her office, I'm told. So
legal expert after legal expert. This is nothing more than a misdemeanor, no crime, no victim, nothing happened. So again, it's one thing to say, oh, look at all these MAGA guys and look at all these Trumps. No. That's not what this is about. This is not conspiracy. This is looking at the actual facts, the actual data, the actual truth. That's what this is. This is the actual truth. This is absolutely a complete miscarriage of justice. It's a miscarriage of taxpayer funding. It's not only that, the biggest, deepest sadness is this is a major blow to the veneer, to the ethos and credibility of America. It's a deeply, deeply sad day for our great country. And I want you guys to really share this video with everybody you know. Share this video with all of your friends, especially your liberal, radicalized, anti-Trump friends, because they need to see this. This is not conspiracy. This is not we're just rooting for our guy. This is not just we're blindly, narrow-mindedly, we're completely devoid of any data. This is the truth. This is the facts. Look at all the different legal experts, and these are just a few that I shared with you. There's many, many dozens more, even legal experts who lean on the complete other partisan side, who are saying this should not have ever been brought to court. This should never have been an issue. It is completely moot. It happens all the time. Nothing wrong here. The president did absolutely nothing wrong. So why are they doing this? And again, I love Jonathan Turley's line. The real indictment is the criminal court justice system. Because guess what, guys? If they can do this to a former president, imagine what they can do to you or I, just because we happen to disagree with them ideologically, politically, or what have you. Dangerous, scary, freaky, not the kind of future I want for my kids, not the kind of future I want for my grandkids and beyond. I want this country to flourish for thousands and thousands and trillion of years. This kind of process, this kind of action is going to lead us to the fall of Rome. I don't want to see that happen. So I throw this off to you, Nez Nation. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. What are your thoughts on this? Am I nuts? Maybe I'm nuts. I'm happy to be wrong. Let me know in the comments. I try with my whole soul best to respond to all the comments. Obviously, it's a physical impossibility. So members, super chats, super things get first priority. Consider becoming a member. If you made it this far, and the pinned comment is our free Nez Nation Insider newsletter. It's free. Just give us your best email, put it in there, click on the link in the pinned comment, show notes, and description. Click on that option that says free newsletter, and you're in. You'll never miss out on the live breaking, current top stories, breaking events that mainstream media won't cover straight to your inbox. Make sure you become a Nez Nation Insider. Check out these videos coming up on the screen right now. Follow, subscribe. As always, God bless you, and may God bless America. I'll see you soon.